The sun hung low over the rugged peaks as I pulled up to my grandfather's old mountain cabin, a place I'd bought fair and square at auction. My toolbox clinked in the truck bed, ready to fix up the abandoned retreat. But there she stood in the doorway, arms crossed, smug as if she owned the valley. "You can't be here," she snapped. "This house belongs to the HOA now." Her words hit like a cold wind, and the fight for my family's legacy began. This wasn't just a cabin. It was my grandfather's dream, carved from the mountains with sweat and grit. I'd spent months tracking down the deed, ensuring every legal box was checked. Yet here was this stranger, claiming my home with a smirk and a forged paper. The creators bring you a tale of defiance, cunning, and justice, a battle against a self-proclaimed queen of the valley who thought she could steal what wasn't hers. I stepped forward, clutching the toolbox, my voice steady. "There's no HOA here. This is private land." Her eyes narrowed and she shoved a paper at me. Notice of HOA possession. It was laughable. My cabin sat miles from any neighborhood. She'd been living here, rearranging my furniture, her coffee scent lingering in my home. My blood boiled, but her smugness held firm. "You broke into my house," she taunted, daring me to act. Before I could respond, she dialed her phone, voice icy. "He's here. Bring the papers and the badge." Tires crunched on gravel as a sedan rolled up, marked with bold red letters. "SHA." Two men in pseudo-police uniforms stepped out, their belts jingling with flashlights and what looked like handcuffs. "You're trespassing on HOA property," one barked. I laughed bitterly. This land had been my family's for 50 years, and I wasn't about to let some fake enforcers scare me off. I leaned against the porch, calm but firm. "You boys better think twice. I've got the original deed, signed by the county clerk." Karen's smirk flickered as I pulled a folder from my truck, the county stamp gleaming on the paper. Her hired muscle hesitated, one whispering, "This doesn't feel right." But Karen snapped, "Do your job." She was doubling down, banking on intimidation to win. I wasn't intimidated. I was prepared. Then I pointed to my phone, blinking red on the railing. "Everything's live streaming to the sheriff's office." The taller man froze, his grip on my arm loosening. Karen's voice shook as she screamed, "He's bluffing!" But the sheriff's badge glowed on my screen, his voice cutting through. "Step away from him now." The fake cops backed off, faces pale. Karen's empire was cracking, but she wasn't done. She stormed into the yard, shouting to neighbors, "This man's stealing our homes!" Doors creaked open as neighbors emerged, curious and skeptical. Karen pointed at me, painting me as the villain. I held up the deed, letting the sheriff's voice echo, "That cabin is his. Karen's been squatting illegally." Gasps spread through the crowd. A man in work boots muttered, "She tried that on my cousin." A woman shouted, "You lied to us, Karen." The tide was turning, and her lies were unraveling before the valley. Then a tow truck rumbled up, the sheriff's deputy pointing at Karen's SUV parked on my land. "Reported on private property without permission," he said. As chains hooked her car, the neighbors laughed. Karen screeched, "This is harassment." I leaned against the railing, voice low. "Funny, that's what you've been doing to everyone else." Her humiliation was complete as her SUV was hauled away, the crowd's cheers drowning her protests. Karen, desperate, dialed another number. "Send the county inspector. This property isn't up to code." She smirked, thinking she'd won. I pulled a second folder from my truck, a recent inspection report, stamped and certified. "This cabin passed every code," I said, holding it high. The real county inspector arrived, exasperated. "Karen, you were warned not to interfere." Her face drained as the crowd whispered, her last card a dud. Sirens echoed as sheriff cruisers rolled up, lights flashing. The sheriff himself stepped out, voice like iron. "Karen, we've got video, witnesses, and your fingerprints in that house." Deputies cuffed her as she stammered, "This is a mistake." The neighbors, once her pawns, turned cold. One deputy nodded at me. "You did good standing your ground." As Karen was led away, the valley felt lighter, her reign of lies finally broken. The cruiser's dust faded down the mountain road, and the neighbors shook my hand, some apologizing for believing Karen's schemes. An old man whispered, "You ended it for all of us." Standing on the porch, I ran my hand along the rail, feeling my grandfather's legacy in the wood. This cabin wasn't just a house, it was my family's heart, etched into the mountains. No one would take it again. The sheriff's message buzzed. "She's charged with trespassing, fraud, and impersonation." I smiled, not just because Karen was gone, but because justice had prevailed. The sun dipped below the peaks, casting gold across the valley. This land was mine, and it always would be. For anyone who's ever fought for what's theirs, this story is a reminder. Stand tall, hold your ground, and the truth will rise above the lies.